Today on Outside the Box Reviews, all good things must come to an end. And here we wrap up our month-long look at horror with the NECA Cult Classics Halloween Evolution of Evil 2-pack. This is one of two different 2-packs that NECA made for Halloween, the other being the Michael Meyers Dr. Loomis set, and each one came with a figure you couldn't get any other way. And I got lucky with this pack because I found it on clearance at my local Spencer's. This actually was one of the first horror action figures I ever picked up. I had just moved into my new place. I kind of wanted to give it a horror movie flair, little something or other sitting around there to be kind of unique. And I walked into Spencer's and they had this guy and they had the Part 2 Jason, and I went home with both of them as the beginnings of my horror collecting. So this has really taken things back for me. This set comes with some awesome accessories. The first one is the iconic Halloween jack-o'-lantern. Looks really great. I love the paint. It has the brighter orange on the outside, and you can see it almost looks like the cutaway pumpkin color inside. The back, not so much. You can see two big screw holes and then the battery door cover. It has its little stem, which if you press down on it, it actually lights up, which is pretty cool. Now, the problem is you could never leave this lit. You have to be pressing down on it to get it to turn on. But the fact that it's there is kind of cool. We also get Judith Meyers' Tombstone, which is really neat. This era of horror figures, we got a lot of tombstones with a lot of different figures, and I loved it. But it's nicely done. Looks like the movie. Judith Meyers, born November, I can't even read that date, 19 or 10th maybe, 1947, died October 31st, 1965. There's some kind of mud effect going here on the bottom. Now, my one big problem with this tombstone is the fact that it doesn't stand well. It's not a very thick piece. A lot of the Jason ones we got from Mezco actually had a thicker base, basically giving it some grass and gunk around the bottom. And even the later Rob Zombie Halloween one, I believe, did that from NECA, but here, it's so thin, all I can ever do with it is lean it up against Michael Myers, because it won't stand any other way. And of course, what would a Michael Myers set be without a butcher knife? So here we have a very simple one. Has the holes for the rivets, but no paint there, just a black handle, silver blade, no blood, which is fitting for this movie. The original Halloween was not a very bloody movie at all, so it kind of fits that there's no blood here on this knife. Now, there was another knife in this set. And for the life of me, I do not know whether I misplaced it and lost it, or if it came with the set ever. I never remember having it. And part of the reason this set might have been on clearance, for all I remember, is that maybe it was missing the knife. But I have always been missing the knife that I believe is supposed to go with Little Mikey, which is a bit of a bummer. I would have liked to have the full set. Speaking of Little Mikey, here he is in all his clowning glory. Is the mask from the original movie. You can see it there with all the crazy detail on it. Smile, the huge nose, has an elastic band that straps it to his head. And then you could actually just take it and remove it. And there you have one sad looking little kid. It's a little much. It's not quite the look that he had at the beginning of the movie when they do unmask him. It was more of just kind of a blank stare, if I remember correctly, instead of this terrified look. But this is passable, I guess. The detail on the face is okay. The hair is decent, has some good dry brushing going on there. The mask doesn't fit on too well because of the hair. The hair is sculpted in a way that just makes it awkward to put the mask on him, and it doesn't sit very flush on his face. He has a soft rubber ruffle around his neck, kind of a translucent white. Same with these two little poof balls on the front here. It has a very cool looking clown outfit. It's a very shimmery, reflective paint on here. So we have red, this off-white, blue, and green here in the back. Pretty simple. More ruffles around his ankles, and then some cool looking little sneakers. The arms are also split with the color, which is cool looking, and more ruffles around his hands. I have some paint slop here, a little green on his finger where it shouldn't be, but not a big deal. And of course, as I mentioned before, his hand is designed to hold the knife he comes with. For articulation, this guy doesn't have a whole lot. He has a ball joint in the neck, so it goes up and down a little bit and then side to side. The hair hinders it a teeny bit. He has the old NECA pin socket shoulder, so they can go forward and back and out to the side, unless you're like me and that happens to you. NECA had some very fragile shoulder joints back in the day, and they did not hold up well. Has a swivel in the elbow. You could swivel it around, but of course, because of the way the costume's designed, you move it any out of where it's supposed to be, and you break up the colors on his costume, which kind of stinks. Which is even weirder, because if you put this arm where it should be, it's bent backwards. Maybe mine was painted backwards or something. You could rotate at the wrist, nothing through the rest of his body, and then you could rotate at the feet. As for adult Michael, this is a sculpt they've released many times. They released him single-carded with the ghost sheet you could put over top of him. And as I mentioned, they released him with the Loomis 2-pack, and they did at least one other re-release in the Cult Classics Icons line of just the exact same Michael Meyers, which I was actually thinking of picking up to mess with, but the paint on it was awful, so that was pretty bad. The older releases seem to have much better paint, but the mask isn't too bad here. It doesn't look a ton like William Shatner's mask, hollowed out with the eyes, but they get a passable resemblance to it. Here they actually got the eyes sunken back deep enough, unlike the Rob Zombie versions. They actually do cast a good shadow on them and look pretty good, but the detail is there if you want to shine a light directly in and you can see the actual eye. One gripe I have is they painted on the eyebrows, which is not accurate to the film. The hair looks okay. It's not great, but it's passable. He does have the slit at the back of the neck. Then we have his mechanic's jumpsuit, and while the detail in the sculpt is great, the color is wrong. And that's me being a mega nerd, because in reality, while everything in the original Halloween looked like he was wearing blue coveralls, and in all the sequels they put him in blue coveralls, he actually was wearing green coveralls in the original movie. There's a scene where he runs into Tommy Doyle outside of the school when Tommy has the pumpkin, and you could very clearly see there that they are, I think they refer to them as spruce green coveralls, that just with the light filters and everything used in the film, it came off as blue. But the sculpting detail in here is really good. It has the pockets accurate, the one that's open, the one with the flap on the top, all these wrinkles through here, the belt area, the snaps down the middle where they'd go, just tons of wrinkles throughout. Pockets in the back, just tons and tons of nice detail on here. The popped collar, the arms, more the same. Little brown weathering around the hands here on the wrists, which adds a nice detail. The hands look pretty nice, a decent painted hands. Obviously this one intended to hold the knife. Very basic black boots, but that's basically what he had, these Vietnam jungle boots. For articulation, he has a ball joint in the neck with a really good range of motion. Really impressed with how good this is. And once again, one of those things I imagine if they made this figure today, he'd have a rubberized neck and a rubberized collar, and you could get even more great articulation out of it. But you could definitely get the classic Michael Myers head tilt, which I think is a must on any Michael Myers figure. And have him look around all different directions. Pin socket shoulders, same as the kid. Hey, look! Does that look familiar? Yeah, I knew one of his arms was broken. I don't think it was this one. I think it's actually the other one. Yeah, the other one's the one that's broken. It's actually glued so it doesn't go in and out anymore. So that's awesome. This arm's messed up now. Swivel at the elbow, rotate at the wrist, and then barely move at the ankle. So overall, I really like this set. I think it's a great pairing. Young and old Michael Myers. Looking back in retrospect, if I'd had the choice between this set and the Night He Came Home set with Loomis instead of young Mikey, I probably would have opted for that one. That one's probably a little more iconic. Young Michael's not really in the movie that much, and Loomis is a major character across the whole franchise, so if you're going for iconic, that's really the one you want, I think. But this is still a cool set, and the price now makes it pretty ridiculous to even hope to get your hands on from what I've seen lately. And the durability of these figures just isn't there. I really want to give this a recommend, and I'm going to give it a recommend, but it's not a strong one in the least, mostly because of the durability of the figures. The lack of articulation and everything I can totally understand with the age of the figures, but no, just the durability I can't get past. It's just a glaring flaw, and as I said, I tried to replace this Myers with the Icons version because mine was breaking, But the Icons version just had horrible paint, and I just didn't see it being a fair trade-off. I guess I could have repainted it, but, you know, that's just more work. So having said that, even though this gets a slight pass, we need a redo on this NECA. Please, please, please give us a new Michael Meyers. Pretty sure they have the rights to it. And I would just really like to see them go and redo this classic horror villain. I mean, you go look at the Pantheon of Horror, there are 3 names that rise above all of them. That's Jason, Freddy, and Michael. That's the trifecta. They've hit hard on the first 2. Now this guy needs his time. I don't want to see a line of Halloween 1 figure and then Halloween 2. I don't want to see where they went with Freddy on it. They probably could, because really it's just changes to the mask, and that's basically what they did with Freddy. Just keep a body moving forward and just keep changing the mask. I could see them doing that. They could do it, but I don't think you need that many Michael Myers figures. You want that iconic Shatner mask. Maybe everybody has kind of one middle version that they like. But really, there's not as far that you want to go with Myers as you do with other horror villains. But one really good, well-articulated Michael Myers figure from NECA, using all their new tricks. We need this to happen. It has to happen. Come on, NECA. Do it for me. You have so much of my money. Give me a reason to spend some more on it. And by the way, green coveralls, please, movie accurate. Appreciate it. But that wraps up the entire month of October, or as I keep calling it by accident, the entire month of Halloween. This is the end of all the Halloween craziness for 2013 here on Outside the Box Reviews. I want to thank you guys for staying tuned through all of it. I hope you guys had as much fun as I did. And that's not to say that the reviews are gonna stop here by any means. I've kind of gone a little nutso this month and done so many reviews. I don't think I've ever cranked out so many videos within such a short amount of time. But maybe something a little more relaxed. Maybe 3 videos over the course of the next week. I don't know. Maybe we'll look at some Pacific Rim figures. And who's after that? Maybe a slightly more aggressive week. Maybe another 4 figures. Take a look at some Predators. Does that sound good to you guys? Sounds good to me. I'll get started on those reviews. Make sure you check out Outside the Box Reviews on Facebook. There'll be a link below. Also check out Outside the Box Reviews on Instagram. Username Outside the Box Reviews. Come join me over on All Scales Everything, a new forum community for collectors of, well, all scales, everything. It's a brand new website. There'll be a link below. Come join me over there and help build the community. And until next time, this has been another Outside the Box Reviews. And can we shut this Christmas music off already? He very much has the Harlequin. He very much has the kind of Harlequin.